Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. And tonight's Raw was held from the Denny Sanford Premier Center in Syosset Falls, South Dakota. And we are 2 weeks away from Extreme Rules. And I gotta say, tonight's show was an absolute piece of shit show. It was absolutely dreadful. It was fucking garbage. It felt like I was watching a rerun of Raw from last week. And this was a very heavy Roman show. This was basically, this edition of Raw was the Roman Reigns show because, you know, we had him in the opening segment. Then we had him in the backstage segments. And we had him in 2 tag team matches. It was a Roman-filled heavy show with Raw tonight, as I felt it was. But the show opened up, of course, with Roman Reigns coming out saying that never in his career he would say, you know, he lost to the Revival. You know, he said he had the worst tag team partner of all time, which was Bobby Lashley. And Roman says he doesn't want to team up again with Lashley. He wants to fight him. And he wants to fight him, you know, right here tonight if Kurt Angle didn't make the match, you know, at Extreme Rules. And Roman ends up calling Lashley an egomaniac and the guy. And he says Lashley 10 years ago couldn't handle, you know, the role, and 10 years from now, you know, he still won't be the guy. And Roman says, you know, he's the guy here, you know, the big dog who runs the yard. And so out comes Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Dolph asks Roman if he's really calling someone a egomaniac, the person who has to make everything, you know, about him. You know, he says, you know, he walks around like he owns the place. You know, acts like everything has to go through him. McIntyre says, you know, Roman has to play the hero, like when he came out last week and, you know, to save Seth Rollins. And the reason why Dolph and Drew came out was they were going to return the favor from last week, you know, when Roman came out to save, you know, Seth Rollins. And then Roman throws the first strike. He then gets taken down by Dolph and Drew McIntyre. Seth Rollins ends up coming out to save, of course, Roman. So he comes out, takes out McIntyre, and then he takes down Dolph with some punches. And then the segment ended. So, pretty much it was basically meh segment. Of course, with Roman Reigns. Then when Raw came back from commercial, we saw Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns backstage. Seth says to Kurt Angle, they both want Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. Kurt Angle says he's scheduling the match for next week, which was originally. And Roman didn't like that because he's teaming with Bobby Lashley again to take on the Revival tonight, which is the 3rd week we have been seeing this match with Roman and Bobby Lashley taking on the Revival 3 weeks in a row. It's like copy and paste. Oh my God. So Kurt Angle ended up changing his mind and he made the match for tonight. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. So Roman is doing double duty tonight with the tag team matches. Or I would say did double duty tonight with the tag team matches. Then we had Curtis Axel versus Matt Hardy. Same match. You know, we saw this match last week, but tonight went a little longer than last week's match. It was, of course, a rematch tonight. News on Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt wasn't here tonight because he was in a car accident on Friday. From what I read in an article, his car was towed. He was taken to the hospital, and then he was released from the hospital. They took him off of live events. WWE, I guess, took him off of live events, and they took him off of Raw tonight. So, but it was Curtis Axel versus Matt Hardy. Curtis Axel was on the Titantron first. You know, the B team was on the Titantron. You know, doing parrying Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. You know, of course, Bo Dallas doing his brother Bray Wyatt, and it was basically just that. And both of them, Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, they were singing, you know, he's got the whole world in his hands. You know, it was pretty much that. Then we got onto the match, Curtis Axel versus Matt Hardy. This match was that's how it was in my opinion. I thought it was a boring match. Curtis Axel ended up getting the win, defeating Matt Hardy. So, all in all, it was a boring match in my opinion. Then we had Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns backstage once again. Bobby Lashley comes in and says to Roman that, you know, he's a heat magnet, a trouble starter, and he goes on to say that nobody likes him. Lashley goes, you know, he doesn't like Roman either. And he also says to Roman, as much as he wants to fight him, he wants Roman to check his ego at the door and focus on tonight. And Roman ends up telling Lashley, you know, to shut up and for him to stand on the apron and, you know, just let him start the match, finish the match, and win the match. You know, for Roman to do all that. And so Lashley threatens Roman, saying if they don't win the match tonight, he's holding Roman responsible for it. So it was pretty much basically that. But yeah, it was, as like I said, you know, when the review started, it was a Roman heavy show. So then after that we had the counseling session between Bayley and Sasha Banks, and boy, was this fucking awful. All right, so where do I begin with this segment? You know, at first it says, oh yeah, it was shot earlier today, and we just see Bayley, you know, waiting outside of I guess like it was the office there. There was one guy sitting there. Sasha ends up coming in, and we both find out that Bayley and Sasha have both the same time and room for the counseling. And so, lo and behold, who comes out? It's the return of Dr. Shelby. So Dr. Shelby is going to be helping Bayley and Sasha Banks with their friendship counseling. So basically they just ruined the whole storyline with Bayley and Sasha. And if you all know who Dr. Shelby was, you have to remember, you know, Team Hell No, Daniel Bryan and Kane. You know, Dr. Shelby ended up helping, you know, them because Daniel Bryan and Kane went to Dr. Shelby because, you know, they were having anger management issues. Daniel Bryan and Kane ended up doing that, and they ended up graduating, you know, anger management. And it just didn't work. This just didn't work with Bayley and Sasha. It worked with Daniel Bryan and Kane because at least it was funny and it was entertaining. You know, a lot of people were behind Daniel Bryan and Kane. when they're with the Team Hell No, when they were Team Hell No. But it was just dreadful. This whole counseling thing with Bayley and Sasha Banks, absolutely fucking dreadful. It was garbage. It was cringe. So it was just that, Dr. Shelby had like cards and stuff. It was just cringe. And then we had Authors of Pain versus Titus Worldwide, Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews. This was a short match. Authors of Pain ended up getting the win. They ended up pinning the last chapter on Apollo Crews to score the win. So yeah, well, all in all, it was a short match. Nothing great, nothing special. So okay, so after that, after Authors of Pain versus Titus Worldwide, we saw Kevin Owens arrive to the arena, and he gets out of his van, his rental van. A valet guy comes and says to him that he can't park here, and if the guy asks Kevin Owens if he could give him his key, and Owens ends up telling him no chance, and so Kevin Owens ends up walking into the arena. And then after that, we had Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. This was the best match of the night, in my opinion. The crowd was into this match, although this crowd, in my opinion, was terrible throughout the show. In my opinion, they were really energized during this match. And it was a good match. It was a decent match between Rollins and Reigns taking on Dolph and McIntyre. Sorry about that, but I was saying this match, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, was the best match of the night. It was a good match. It was an enjoyable match. When Roman Reigns ended up striking Dolph, that was when the match really picked up and the crowd was into it. Of course, because of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins continues to impress every week when he's in a match. This is the guy that people come to see every week on Monday Night Raw. And it was a good match, but it got ruined in the end because the Revival ended up coming out from the crowd. They ended up being up and taking down Roman. So the match ended in a disqualification. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns ended up winning the match by disqualification. So Revival comes out, beats up on Roman. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre take down Seth Rollins. They end up hitting the Claymore zigzag on Seth Rollins. The Revival then comes in and they hit the Shatter Machine on Roman. So that was what happened after the match. But all in all, in my opinion, like I said, it was the best match of the night, but had a shitty ending. Then we had Kevin Owens approaching Kurt Angle, saying that he has to do something with Braun Strowman. Kurt says, sounds like Owens wants a match tonight. And so Kurt Angle ends up making a match for Owens tonight. It's going to be Kevin Owens versus Braun Strowman. So And then after that, we had Baron Corbin, Constable Corbin, come out. He was in the ring saying that he is here to help and that everyone needs help to get to their full potential. And he says Stephanie appointed him, Constable, to make Kurt a better general manager for Raw. And also, the superstars in the back to have, full potential. He says Finn Balor's behavior last week was unprofessional. And he invites him out to give him an apology. So Finn Balor ends up coming out. Baron Corbin ends up apologizing to him. Finn Balor says, he's sorry that his comment last week got him fired from TGI Fridays because Balor last week made a joke about that, when Balor was joking about the suit that Corbin was wearing last week. And Corbin says, he's going to give him another chance to apologize. And Finn says, he doesn't feel like he needs an apology. An apology, from someone who gave him that, haircut, which he was saying to Balor, which was funny though. And Corbin says to Finn that he needs to give him the respect he deserves, and to apologize. So Balor says, he's sorry while, he stopped earning respect the day Corbin became Stephanie's stooge. And so that pissed off Corbin. Corbin then struck Finn. And Finn then hit him with the sling blade. And Corbin then retreated from the ring. Wanted nothing to do with Balor. So this is probably going to set up, a match, feud between Corbin and Balor. Maybe, they'll get an Extreme Rules match. A match at Extreme Rules. So, yeah, it was pretty much basically that. I mean, the segment, it was okay. Wasn't, great or perfect by any means. Okay, and then we had, Elias was backstage. Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan end up coming. And Elias tries to perform a song for the both of them. But both Liv and Sarah, push over. I think it was like mops or something. They knocked it over though, but not too sure what they were though. But that's pretty much what happened. Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan causing chaos. And Ruby Riott wasn't here for Raw tonight. Apparently Ruby Riott's now injured because she hurt her knee during a live event. And who knows how long she's going to be out. Read it in an article. It didn't say how long Ruby Riott was going to be out because of this injury. So now it's just going to be Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan now until Ruby Riott comes back. So if who knows if they're going to be coming out with the Riott Squad theme, because if Ruby's out for that long, they have to give Liv and Sarah their own music, their own Titantron music, instead of using the Riott Squad theme. But now we had the next match. It was Ember Moon versus Liv Morgan. This was a decent match, because of Ember Moon. Liv Morgan, not that good in the ring though. But Ember Moon, she was entertaining in the match. I like Ember Moon. She's good in the ring. Really enjoy Ember Moon, even when she was down in NXT. But Ember Moon ended up getting the win with the Eclipse to Liv Morgan. So Ember Moon wins the match. All in all, it was decent because of Ember Moon, in my opinion. Then we had Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley versus The Revival. Same match that we saw for the past, we saw this match. This is the third time that we've seen this match. And it's just the same. It's just the same as the other two matches that we saw, before this one happened for the third time. But apparently it was all Roman Reigns in the match. Bobby Lashley didn't even get into this match. Wasn't tagged in or anything. So he was just on the apron. Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley ended up getting the win by disqualification because the Revival failed to get off of Roman after the 4 count. So, at the end of the 5 count, when the referees count and then the opponents are still beating up, the other opponent, it's 1, they count 1, 2, 3, 4. They got to break it before the count of 5. If the referee counts 5, match is over. It's a disqualification. So Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley win by disqualification. The Revival ended up beating down on Roman Reigns again. Once again, Once again, the Revival ended up pinning the Shadow Machine on Roman. Bobby Lashley wanted nothing to do with that. So Bobby Lashley ended up walking to the back. So he didn't want to help, Roman up. So, well, all in all, it was same match that we saw 3 times already. It's like copy and paste. It's like, oh yeah, what we got for Raw this week? Oh yeah, remember Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley versus the Revival? Yeah, let's copy and paste that and put it on this week's edition. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah. No. Fuck no. Please, I hope we don't see Reigns and Lashley versus the Revival again. Please. I'm done seeing that. I'm done seeing this. 3 times already we've seen Reigns and Lashley versus Revival. Then we see Kevin Owens approaches Kurt Angle once again. Tells him to, Owens wants Kurt to cancel the match against Strowman. Kurt says, he's good and the match is still going to go on. And basically, Kevin Owens tries to bribe Kurt with stuff, like to make him really cancel the match against Strowman. He offers him, Owens says, oh yeah, I'll give you Shania Twain tickets. And it was funny though. Basically, reason why he said that because Kevin Owens went to the Shania Twain concert, which was funny. I did actually see the video of that, but it was pretty funny. So yeah, I mean it was cool. It was cool that Kevin Owens went to the concert though. There. And Kurt says the match is still going to happen either way. And then Kevin Owens was like, oh yeah, you don't deserve Shania Twain tickets. And then Kurt Angle ends up saying to Roman, who comes in, he ends up saying to Roman that the match is on for him and Lashley at Extreme Rules. So that's what we're going to get now. Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley at Extreme Rules. So that's happening. Then we had No Way Jose out there. Mojo Rawley comes out because I guess there was going to be a rematch Mojo didn't want, another rematch. So Mojo Rawley ends up cheap shotting No Way Jose. He attacks No Way Jose from behind. Then Mojo goes and assaults a member of the Conga Line in a cheeseburger costume, which he just threw over the steps, and it was a pretty crazy throw that Mojo did. So Mojo was just being down on that guy in the cheeseburger costume. No Way Jose comes to make the save, but Mojo ends up taking down No Way Jose. Then we saw Mojo slam No Way Jose on the apron, and Mojo just walked off, walked to the back. So that was pretty much what happened. Didn't have the match. And so the next match, it was Nia Jax versus Mickie James. Nia Jax comes out, says 2 months ago when she defeated Alexa for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania, Nia thought she was done with Alexa, and she goes to say, even at Backlash, she thought that she was done with Alexa. Then, she says, after Money in the Bank, they were right back to where they started, between her and Alexa. And she says, it needs to be finished. She ends up telling Alexa that this needs to be finished. And she says she talked with Kurt Angle, and now their match at Extreme Rules for the Raw Women's Championship will be in an Extreme Rules match. So that's going to end up taking place at Extreme Rules. And Nia says she bought backup. And her backup, of course, was Natalya. And so the match got underway. The match itself, it was a typical women's match. Nothing great, nothing special or interesting to happen in this match. Though you had Alexa, interfere in the parts of the match. But Nia Jax ended up winning the match. She ended up hitting a Samoan drop to Mickie James to win the match. So Nia Jax wins. All in all, typical women's match. Nothing special happened. Nothing great happened. So that was that. Then we had Kevin Owens backstage with Jinder Mahal and Sunil Singh. They were just helping him breed, helping Kevin Owens breed, so he won't be, shook up when he takes on Strowman. And so Kevin Owens gets interviewed about heading into the match. Kevin Owens says, he's glad he's facing Braun Strowman tonight, and he says tonight he's going to get in with Strowman, and he's going to show the world how to destroy a monster. And so that was that with Kevin Owens backstage. Then we had Renee Young interviewing Bobby Lashley about Kurt Angle making the match with him and Roman at Extreme Rules. Lashley says, he can't wait for Extreme Rules because Roman made a big name for himself. And if Lashley was still here, his yard, well, he says, not Lashley, Roman, he says about Roman, if he was still here, his yard would be a concrete trailer park. So that was basically that interview with Bobby Lashley. Then it was the main event, Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens. This was a nothing match because nothing happened. All it was Strowman throwing Owens to the other side, to the corner where the turnbuckles are. Kevin Owens got out of the ring, ran up the ramp to the back, and the match ended in a count out. So Braun Strowman wins the match by count out. After the match, Braun Strowman goes and runs after Kevin Owens. Owens tried to get out of the arena, to leave the arena. Couldn't find his keys. So he ends up hiding in a porta potty. And Strowman comes and looks for him. And, he's like, oh, where's Kevin Owens? Have you seen Kevin Owens? And there was chants from the crowd with porta potty chants, which was funny. I have to say, this was the best. This was the best thing that happened after this nothing match. So, Braun Strowman is still looking for Kevin Owens, and there's he goes to the porta potty, knocks on there, and he disguises his voice, and Kevin Owens just ends up, saying something to Strowman. We then have Strowman. We then see Strowman end up scotch taping the whole porta potty, and he ends up dragging it. He ends up dragging the porta potty into the arena, back into the arena. He ended up, pulling it. He had like a strap around him, and he ended up pulling the porta potty into the arena. So he ends up dragging it up the ramp. He ends up dragging the porta potty up to the ramp and onto the stage. He ends up dragging it to almost the edge of the stage. And so he goes to walk off, and we see Strowman have an idea, and he just runs up his legs, like to try to get him, run it. And so Strowman then runs and pushes the porta potty off the stage with Kevin Owens still inside of it, which was funny. And after he pushed it, officials were helping Kevin Owens out of the porta potty, and we saw all that. We saw this blue tie-dye on Kevin Owens. It looked like blue paint, or like that sort of like chemical that you put into the porta potty before it's used. So we just saw Kevin Owens with all that on him, all the blue, the blue dye on him. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Kevin Owens was covered in the, the blue dye, or it must have been paint there. So, and that pretty much ended Raw tonight. Yes, it was a porta potty show. It was a porta potty edition of Monday Night Raw. It was an absolute garbage piece of shit show. The only redeeming things of this show was the tag team match between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Dolph and McIntyre, and Braun Strowman pushing the porta potty off the stage with Kevin Owens still inside of it. So those are the only two things that I liked about Raw tonight. Everything else, garbage. Everything else, meh. So, yeah. So, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all here tomorrow for my SmackDown review, which hopefully SmackDown will be a much better show tomorrow, I hope. So until that review, I'll see you all back here tomorrow night.